So let's talk about something wild. What if the key to saving the planet was also the thing that could spark our next massive global conflict? We're diving into a single metal that has, almost overnight, become the absolute center of our modern world: lithium. It's in everything: your phone, your laptop, and more, it's powering our cars and even our cities.
I mean, the promise here? It's incredible. We're talking about lithium-ion batteries being the one piece of tech that could finally unlock a truly decarbonized world. You know, a whole planet full of electric cars, massive batteries storing energy from the sun and the wind. This is the dream of a clean energy future. Okay, but, and this is a big but, this is where the story gets really complicated. Because this frantic global race to get this one resource is creating a whole new world of problems. Geopolitical fights, environmental nightmares, social upheaval. Things that could shake up the world in ways we're just starting to grapple with.
All right, let's get into what we're actually talking about here. Lithium isn't just some random metal. It has these totally unique properties that make it perfect, irreplaceable, for the kinds of powerful batteries our lives now run on. It's so valuable, people have started calling it white gold. And the demand for it? It's not just growing, it is absolutely exploding. Just look at this number: 40 times. The International Energy Agency is saying that if we're serious about our climate goals, we could see a 40-fold increase in lithium demand by 2040. That's not a gentle slope upwards, that is a vertical rocket launch, and it's putting a kind of pressure on the global supply chain that we have never seen before.
So yeah, a 40x increase. It raises a pretty obvious question, right? Where in the world is all of this lithium going to come from? And that question has kicked off what you can only call a great global scramble. It's a modern-day gold rush, and the stakes could not be higher.
Now, what's really fascinating when you look at this is just how concentrated lithium is. It's not like oil, which you can find pretty much all over the planet. Good lithium deposits? They're clustered in just a handful of spots. You can see Australia is crushing it right now with production. But then, look at the reserves column. The lithium triangle, that's Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia, is sitting on more than half the world's supply. And then you see Bolivia, 23 million tons of reserves, but their production is, well, basically zero. That right there is a huge piece of the puzzle.
This chart really drives that home. In 2024, you can see that just a few countries basically have a lock on the world's raw lithium supply. That kind of concentration is a recipe for geopolitical trouble. But hold on, because here is the first major twist in our story. It turns out that just digging the stuff out of the ground, that's not where the real power is.
Right. So the real power isn't in the mine, because mining, that's just step one. There's this crucial, kind of invisible middle step between the raw rock and a finished battery. And one country has managed to get a near-total stranglehold on it.
Think about it like this. You've got three basic steps. First, you mine the ore. Simple enough. But that raw stuff, it's useless for a battery. It has to go through step 2, processing. It has to be refined into these super pure battery-grade chemicals. And that step, the chemical processing, that's the real bottleneck. Only after that can you actually build the battery.
And wow, this chart says it all, doesn't it? Australia and Chile might dig up the most raw lithium, but look who processes it. China, somewhere between 60 and 80% of all of it. The US and Europe, they're barely even on the chart. Now, this wasn't an accident. For decades, China strategically invested in this middle step, while the West was happy to just buy the finished product. And the result is a dependency that runs through the entire supply chain.
And you have to understand, this isn't just about money or business. This is a massive strategic vulnerability. As this quote points out, Beijing is more than willing to use this power as a weapon. They've already put export controls on other critical materials, sending absolute shockwaves through Western industries. It's a clear signal that access to this stuff could be turned off, just like a tech.
So we have this geopolitical chess game happening, but that brings us to an even tougher question. We're all in on this for a clean future, right? But what about the actual on-the-ground cost of getting this white gold? Is the energy we call clean actually clean at the source?
You know, on one side, you have the dream we're all sold. Quiet, zero-emission cars, a decarbonized world. It's a beautiful picture. But for the people who actually live where this stuff is mined, the reality is a world away from that clean image. Their story is one of disappearing water in the desert, poisoned soil, and being pushed off the lands their ancestors have lived on for centuries.
Let's just try to wrap our heads around this number. 2 million liters. In Chile's Atacama Desert, literally one of the driest places on Earth,
That's how much water gets evaporated just to get one single ton of lithium. They pump this precious water up from underground and it's just gone. Forever. From an ecosystem where every single drop counts.
And the human cost? It's just as stark. It's not an abstract problem. In the US, an incredible 79% of lithium deposits are located near Native American lands, and it's sparking these old, painful conflicts over sacred sites and who controls the land. You see it in places like Thacker Pass and Hell's Kitchen, where tribes are fighting back in court. And in Chile, communities are watching their traditional ways of life, the farming and herding that have sustained them for generations, literally dry up and blow away.
So you've got this perfect storm, right? Geopolitical risk, environmental disaster, social conflict. The world can't just sit back and watch. And it isn't. A totally new race has started, a race to completely reshape the future of energy and to control the resources that will power it. You can see the West is finally waking up and scrambling to catch up. The U.S. is throwing billions of dollars at building its own supply chain with huge policies like the Inflation Reduction Act. The government is even buying shares in mines directly to guarantee we get the supply. I mean, that's a huge deal. The EU is doing the same thing, desperately trying to build its own mining and processing from the ground up to break that dependency on China.
But government policy is just one side of the coin. The other side? Technology. And this is where things get really, really interesting. There are these new methods called direct lithium extraction, DLE, that could pull lithium out of brine using way less water and land. That could be a total game changer for the environmental side of things. And at the same time, the batteries themselves are being reinvented. Solid-state batteries are on the horizon, maybe for mass production around 2027. We're talking double the range, way safer, that could completely change what we even need lithium for.
So all of this, it leads us to a crossroads, a real fork in the road for humanity, with two completely different futures ahead of us. In one, the atrophy scenario. This scramble for lithium turns into ugly resource wars. Countries hoard what they have, global trade falls apart, and the green transition just dies on the vine while the planet and people suffer. But there's another path, the ascend scenario, where this whole crisis actually pushes us to be better. We could see amazing international cooperation, huge breakthroughs in recycling and tech, and a real commitment to making sure this is all done ethically. A future where we actually create a circular, sustainable economy for lithium.
And that leaves us with the big one, the question that hangs over everything. We all want a green revolution. We know we need one. But what kind of revolution is it going to be? Are we just going to trade our old dependence on oil for a new, maybe even more dangerous set of dependencies? Or can we finally learn from the mistakes of the past and use this moment to build a future that isn't just green, but is also fair and just? That's the choice that's being made right now.